All right, y'all. How y'all doing on this Resurrection Sunday? Happy Easter, everybody. As we do between the hours of 6 to 8, we bring you Northwest Austin Council. You know what I mean? But it's just West Side people talking West Side things, man. It's a whole lot going on. We're in the midst of a very involved political season. There's a lot of things taking place in a lot of places. And we just so happy here. We're here and happy to talk about it. Hope everybody had a wonderful church service if that's your thing. And if that's not your thing, I at least hope you woke up and said your prayers, man, for the man above that brought you here today and allowed you to eat that food that you eating, because I know you having Sunday dinner the right way. You know what I'm saying? As for me, I didn't have Sunday dinner yet. I think these Doritos may be my Sunday dinner. Um, but it's okay. We gonna make it happen, regardless. So I don't know where Steve is right now, but we're gonna go ahead and just kick the show. Right all off. You know what I mean? I got a couple people already on the Zoom, so that's pretty good. I saw Mary when I pulled up the list there. Hey, Mary, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you? Happy Resurrection Day. Happy Easter
Facts.
to you and everybody.
All right, thank you. Happy that you're joining us. I saw Tiny on the line too. What's up, Tiny? How you feeling, man? That's cool. I think you was moving around in the background anyway, Tiny. So, I mean, man, there's so many things, man. So many things going on in terms of this politics. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I just saw that Beverly Miles has made it through her ballot challenge, and she will be on the ballot as running for governor. Black woman from the west side of Chicago, a former military vet. I believe she was I'm not gonna say which branch because I'm definitely gonna be wrong with that, but I do know she was a nurse. She worked in the prison system for some time, and just a local candidate. I know she ran for 28th Ward Alderman a few years back. What, about three and a half, four, about 3 years ago at this point. And so she's very committed to community in various ways. Obviously, service is one of the things that sticks out about her right away. And so I'm just curious, man. What are you guys feeling about having potentially a black female governor? And what about the job that JB has done? I personally think he's done a decent enough job, one that's certainly warranting of him potentially getting back in office. But I also recognize that JB is a billionaire and he's putting a lot of money out to stave off that challenge, so to speak, of Beverly Miles in order to retain power. And the job itself is about a $200,000 a year job. So he don't need it, but it obviously is a source of power, great power. So what's your guys' thoughts, man? Talk to me. What's up? How do y'all feel about having potentially a black woman governor? How do you think JB has done since he's been in there? Let me see how long. Um, my bad. Getting a little text here. All right. Regardless, so um, I guess we'll hold off on that. We'll circle that wagon when we get back to it. That's not a problem. So one of the things that is upcoming, I definitely want to make sure I put it out now. So I'm doing this generational series, a generational conversation series that's going to take place over several weeks. So starting April 20th, we're going to do it as roundtable format. And what we did was we found one individual from each of the generations that are represented at the moment. Now, I didn't find somebody from I don't know what they call a generation after Z. All I know is Z is behind me. I'm a Y, I'm a millennial. Z is next. And then we got the teens. Not certain exactly what they call those people, but yeah, they won't be represented in this first iteration. But what we doing is we having one person from Z, Millennial, X, and Baby Boomer come, and we just want to share perspective. We want to give people an opportunity to just have regular discussion. And this idea was born off of the conversation that James Baldwin and Nikki Giovanni had in 1971. Something that I always go back to, especially during Black History Month, because I really appreciated the intellectual prowess of both these individuals, the respect that they have for one another, to go back and forth in conversation about their time, how they viewed the world at that time. Whereas Nikki Giovanni was the young fire starter, so to speak, like, you know what I'm saying, really ready to stand up and against oppression. You know what I mean? And James Baldwin was a little bit less, had a little bit more experience, a little bit more lived and learned experience. Where he's like, hold on, though, this is what you got to be cognizant of. And I just appreciated that approach so much, especially because it put two of our greatest on equal footing. They both were intellectual, they both creatives, and it really raised my spirit every time I listen to it, just because it's like that's what we can be, though. You know, that's who we are innately. We are those intellectuals because that's what we came from. You know, my people, I wish that we took intellect a little more serious. I don't know, when did we get to this space where the nerds are the ones that you want to avoid? Those are the ones you want to beat up. Those are the ones you want to persecute. I don't understand it. When did we get to this space? So anyway, I created this series because I really want us to get to a space where we can have intelligent dialogue and show respect for one another the way we supposed to. In some respects, I could say we lacking in that fashion. You know what I mean? Like, there's not a whole lot of respect for the generational spectrum. There's a lot of misconceptions on both sides. You know, we both have our own ideas about the other because we all have different lived experiences. But until you get into a room and you're able to share those experiences and maybe open up on some of the things that we don't know, because you don't know what you don't know until you learn it. And that's the whole idea behind it. So I'm so happy to be doing something like this. Again, April 20th, we're going to do the first round table. We're going to have one person from each of the generational spectrum, and we're just going to have straight dialogue. I don't know what's going to come up, because anything could come up during regular discussion. You never know. You know what I mean? I think I'm going to kick it off by asking my Gen X counterpart, what happened? Where were you? Why did y'all let things lapse like this? How did we go from we shall overcome and marching and protesting to nothing? I feel like there's been 60 odd years of ineptitude. Now, I can't blame my Gen X counterpart only, because I recognize that there were a whole lot of things happening in that space that put us right here. But I got to say, where were you? You know, so that might kick off the conversation, and then we just go from there. I don't know. You know what I mean? Um, then the next series, the next part in the series, we got the roundtable discussion first. Then we're gonna do the panel discussion, where we're gonna probably bring about two individuals from each of the generational spectrum, and we're gonna have certain topics that we want to touch on. So we want to touch on culture, politics. We want to touch on religion. We want to touch on sex. We want to touch on family. We want to talk about some of these things that don't typically get talked about, but we also want to share perspective from each. For instance, as a millennial, I feel proud in the fact that we start exposing things. It's my group, the millennials, that said, listen, I go to therapy and it's okay with it. My uncle, he touched me, and it made me feel this way. So I had to go and get my shit right mentally. So I had to go talk to somebody about it. We made it okay to do that. And I'm happy as a millennial, because as a person who has had about 6 different therapists to talk about certain issues in my life in order to develop as the person you see in front of you, I think that's amazing. We started to lift that rug up and all that dust that was up under there. We started, hey man, let's bring that on to the front, man. You want to do what you want to do under the cover of darkness. So I'm gonna talk about it a little bit, and that's okay. But there are other groups who, certain things shouldn't leave the home, and that's okay too. But I think we need to talk about it. So we're gonna have this forum style conversation, and then the last part of the series, we're gonna do a what I'm terming a generational jam. Now, this idea didn't come from me, and I don't know if I'm gonna be the one to put it all the way together. But if I have to, I will. I think that's important to make sure we keep it going. But this generational jam will be a different type of setting where we maybe we have a couple moderators that are going to go throughout the crowd and ask certain questions. I don't know. We're still working on that one. But at the end of the day, it'll lead us into a space where we can share food as well as music with one another. And I think the theme of that will be generational spectrum as well. So we're going to have different foods from the generational spectrum. A baby boomer mentioned shepherd's pie to me. I ain't never had shepherd's pie. I don't know what that is. You feel me? But I eat it though if it's good. So looking forward to eat some shepherd's pie. You know what I mean? We might put them on something that we was doing. You know, my Z, they may not know about the Kool-Aid with the sugar in the bag. You feel me? Because that's what we was doing when we was going to school. And that's why we was all hyped up, acting the fool at school, because we were eating nothing but pure sugar and Kool-Aid. But that was our little thing, you feel me? So I definitely I'm looking forward to that. I'm excited. Again, this is a series where we just going to move the needle, have conversation in different settings, and continue to bring things out. And it's a 3-part series. And of course, we're going to be starting in April 20th. And then it might take us to the end of May or so, depending on which days we select. But you know what I mean? We take a pause and we're going to come right back. So we may jumpstart that again in July. You know what I mean? Because I think it's very important to continue to hear different voices. These are going to be recorded so that people can go back, archival data. Man, this is what we're doing, and this is straight community led. It's about community building. Uh, Purposely, I don't care about names and all. I don't care. You feel me? I don't want to see a whole. I personally, I hate when I see flyers in the community and we got like 50 organizations. Bro, nobody care, bro. You know what I mean? If you knew how to market better, you wouldn't have to put your name on all the fucking flyers that come out. Let's just be honest. That's your problem. You don't know how to market. You know what I mean? Your business, your organization floundering because you don't know how to put it out in front of the people's face. You feel me? And hey, that ain't nobody's problem but your own. So got to work on that. But anyway, um, we just cooling, man. Waiting on Steve to get back. So I'm just chit chatting. Who we got on there? Is Tiny? You still on there, man? I got a whole lot of movement. Hold on, man. I got to switch to the other seat, man. Got a whole lot of little movement going on, man. Oh, Miss Bertha said it could only help. Yeah, I agree, Miss Bertha. All we trying to do is make sure that we do some things to help the community. You know what I mean? You know what? I see you, Miss Bertha. That's a good idea. So listen, we was on the I don't know if Barry's on the line, but we was on the time exchange joint this Friday, and we was talking about this increased collaboration that we need to have. And Dr. Orr was on, and she brought up the fact that no, uh, Tiny,
Hey, what's up?
what's going on, man?
Oh man, everything is great. Did you Barabbas?
No, we didn't talk about Barabbas. I was waiting on you to jump on so you could talk about it. I told you I don't know nothing about no Barabbas, man. So if you do, please, by all means, let me know.
Okay. So now when they came and they said the Jews could have Jesus Christ or Jesus Barabbas, they said Jesus Barabbas. Because the Jews, they were under a lot of pressure from the Romans. They wanted somebody to fight them. And so Barabbas was in jail for starting an insurrection. He had also killed a Roman soldier. He was like robbing the Roman tax collectors. He was a terror to the Romans. And that's what the Jews wanted. They didn't want no turn the other cheek Messiah. That was after Jesus died when Paul brought that stuff up. You can Google it. There wasn't no accident that they chose Barabbas. Barabbas is what they wanted.
Now, listen. You're gonna have to run that back, DJ. What? Say it again.
Yeah. Barabbas, the guy they chose instead of Jesus, his first name was Jesus also. And Barabbas means son of the Father.
Okay.
So he was the Messiah. He was in jail for starting an Roman soldier. He was robbing the Roman tax collectors. He was a terror to the Romans, but he was a hero to the Jews. That's why they do. And see, they killed Jesus because of a guy named Caiaphas, who wanted to get him for tearing up the temple. And the charge he was charged with was trying to be the king of the Jews. So the white man ain't never told us the truth about nothing, and he got us following the wrong Jesus. And you can Google it. Google it while we talking. They'll tell you. But they don't tell you much about Barabbas because they want you to be on Jesus Christ. But the Jews did not want no turn the other cheek Messiah. They wanted somebody who was fighting the Romans like Barabbas. And then after Jesus died, Paul came up with that stuff about he was a sacrifice. Who was he sacrificed to? You know, it was a sacrifice to the devil. And these Christians, they be telling me he was sacrificed to himself. How you going to sacrifice yourself to yourself?
I think.
Google it.
Well, no, I was just. What's going on, Congressman? No, I was just Googling. I just did. I see. I put in the Barabbas, and it popped right up. But I'm gonna definitely have to really sit with this, because I do. Yeah, I see what you're saying. But I think I mean, all right. So I was just talking about doing this whole generational thing. I think that's part. I myself. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, DeAndre, it's Tim.
Oh, what's up, Tim?
Okay, I came in a little late. I just want to know what was the subject matter. I heard it was about religion. I don't want to get into anything about religion, and we're dealing with everything issue. So if you can share with me what the topics are, I really appreciate it.
You know what? The way we go is really just a conversation. I know Tiny last week spoke about Barabbas, and I told him I have no idea who that is. I'm if I got to be completely honest with you, I know the Bible, but I'm not well versed in it. You know what I mean? And Tiny said that he will come on and talk a little bit about it. But generally, the way it goes is we just have conversations about whatever come up. I know the thing that I mentioned earlier to kick it off, I was talking about having this generational conversation series that I'm putting together. It's an iterative process in which we're going to have different distinct conversations and discussions across the generational spectrum, which I thought was important because it helps to build that bridge that I feel is continuing to widen between myself, my counterparts, and the generations before me. And so the funny thing was I was actually about to go into the fact that I'm not highly religious, spiritual. Look, I get up every morning and pray. I keep an ankh across my neck. But to be completely honest, I like the Bible. I believe it's the greatest story ever written. But it's so difficult for me as a person to get into a book that has touched hands so many times, that has been shown to have been tampered with. Like, there are pages of the Bible, man, that's sitting in the Vatican that none of us will ever get to see. So I just can't, you know what I mean? Like, I pray to a higher power. I concentrate on the higher power when I'm saying my prayer, but I don't know who nor what that is because we've been lied to so much, and
different between spirit. I just thought I'd just step along for a moment, just to say that when I heard the gentleman speaking about religion as being Easter, that being a distraction to me, and you as a distraction, what our people to not focus on economics and politics.
Yeah,
politics and economics tied to the quality of life of our folks. And when he was speaking, all I was thinking about was Dr. King, I was watching the last video that he had made prior to his last big speech. It was about the Poor People's Campaign. And how that really plays into today. That a lot of things that we see on the streets pretty much ties directly into the issue that he was going to shift to. So, so this evening when I saw the text come up, and I decided to come on, and a lot of things that I see or that I know and I want to share, there's not a lot of platforms like what you guys have that I may be able to come on to share my insight that we need to be thinking of, because to use religion, religion is not the platform for us to talk about, because we all have our own different perspectives. But the one thing that we all share together in is in economics. And when the economics are right, we can address a lot of the social issues and concerns that we have. So tonight I was hoping that would be the discussion.
We could go there. Oh no! Listen, we could go there. Like I say, the show is legit conversation. So it's really, and the funny thing you say that, because before we got into the Barabbas situation, I was about to bring up the fact that just this past, and I see your hand up, Mary, so I got you. I was gonna say Friday when we were on the time exchanges meeting, we were actually talking about the lack of togetherness. One of the police officers, Will, talked about how there's so many dance groups in the Austin community, but none of them communicate with one another, and they all fighting over the little 10,000 instead of coming as a big group and going after the 1 million. You know what I'm saying? And so I actually was gonna talk about the fact that for a while I've been posing this idea that these smaller organizations, I see Miss Bertha on the line, you know what I'm saying? I had Crystal Dyer, myself, with Northwest Austin Council, obviously. We got Partnership for a Drug-Free West Side. I mean, a few of us, 7, 8 of us, 10 of us, if possible, we get together, stop trying to go after the little chump change and go get a $10 million grant. Because we all are in our own spaces dealing with public safety the way we deal with it. Now, if we could come together and formulate a strategy that says these 10 organizations are going to do their way, and then we go after, some more economics, then we could, to me, affect change more positively than we already have. And so that's actually what I was going to say before we went to the Barabbas point.
Well, DeAndre, before we talk about funding or anything else,
right?
It's about sharing in a common. One of the things that when we talk about work, let me just say this from a basic point. When we talk about organizing, simply, let's just say a block club, we have to have the internal conversation to say, what is going to be a uniform conversation to address the things that we want to address. And when that's done, then the powers or the institutions that you're looking to get funding from, it will come in. But if we're not willing to have those, what I call, tough conversations with each other on a local platform, then you cannot try to go out and try to get those fundings. That's when you decide getting the poverty pimping to happen with a lot of these community-based organizations that's in our communities claiming to do a lot of the outreach and work,
right?
Because they really don't do at all,
right?
I just thought I'd just add my observation and thoughts to it. That's all.
No, as you should.
How about
I see Mary though. I wanted to get Mary in there. I saw her hand up. Mary, you want to jump in?
I do. Thank you very much. I got a question, and then I got or two. One for you, DeAndre, and then one I'm going to shoot to the congressman. I want to know, because the problem has been with millennials and Gen Z, though, is that y'all are not consistent in showing up where your voice can be heard and made the most effective and respected, and that's at the ballot box consistently. Now, y'all show up. Y'all show up when y'all like it, when y'all feel it. But consistency, I think, is what's missing. So my question would be to you, DeAndre, is that a part of your roundtable in terms of that y'all going to tell us? Because I'm a boomer. Why that we haven't been able to figure out how to help y'all get and be consistent. Okay, and then my other side of the question, because there are folks that are in an election cycle, and there are folks that are trying to infiltrate the 7th Congressional District with lies and misnomers and this and that. And I want to actually put my congressman on the spot and ask him to please talk to us about the deliverables that his leadership has brought to the 7th Congressional District. Because I'll tell you, with all due respect to the opponent out there, not being very truthful, but I want the congressman to share with the audience about the deliverables that his leadership has brought to the 7th Congressional District. Thanks.
All right, I got you. Let me, I'll take it and then I'll pass it to you, Congressman, if that's okay?
That's fine.
So, all right. You're right about the consistency part, and I do, and because we show a lot of emotion about things that we are invested in. Voting is not one of them, and I'll say this because I got into politics because I didn't see anybody from the hood that's my age wanting to get into this and understand it. And I'm a learning individual, so I really like learning what I don't know. But my brothers, hell, my twin brother, because I do have a twin, as well as my stepbrother and my cousins and whoever else you might ask. I say, what's up, y'all? Hey, y'all voted? Hell no. I say, why, man? They got a little bit more knowledgeable because I'm involved. But the one thing that they consistently tell me, I was like, well, what if somebody that was running for alderman come to your door, ring the day, man, shit. If he mess up, if that doorbell ring while I'm playing video games, I'm gonna be highly pissed because you trying to salute. That's what they telling me. And they to me they reflect the majority of. I feel like I'm in the minority of the millennial in terms of voting and being involved communities based, and they aren't. That's not their thing, and that's okay. More often than not, they'll say, fuck the community. They like, they tell me they don't understand why I'm spending my time trying to better a community that ain't trying to do for itself. So but when it comes to voting, the one thing that they have consistently said is if we see a person that is like us, then we would get out there and do something. So for example, they steady tell me, bro, I need to see you wearing Jordans. I need to see you, with a gold chain or something. But this is what they telling me for them to be invested in voting. They saying the people that they see that's out there trying to run, they don't believe in them because they don't see them as themselves, and they need good representation. And I would say I would generalize that to the much of the millennial population. There's only a handful of us, if we being honest, that are in the minority that really are involved civically. And we're having a hard time bringing our counterparts along because of what they feel and have seen so far from politics. So it's like, until we can really get real representation that looks like them, and then things start to improve, then they won't be a part of the process. And I think that's what the struggle is.
And you know what, DeAndre, what I think is interesting about what you said is actually probably what the congressman is about to tell us that he's brought to the district that has affected all of our lives in a positive manner. And it's interesting. And some of that is lack of knowledge.
Absolutely.
Without vision, our people perish.
Absolutely.
So to speak to exactly what you're It's not so much as you need to be wearing the Jordans or the Air Force Ones, because I tried it. It don't work for me. But I promise you, and I think that part of what's on your shoulders, because you're the one, you're that voice, you and so many others, and I'm gonna give credit to my little one, Crystal Gardner. Y'all the ones, you all are the bridge to make that connection.
I agree.
Because you understand, and I get you, but I think it's going to be really interesting, and I want to just kind of hear from, because I did put him on the spot.
Oh yeah,
yep. That have happened under the leadership of the congressmen that have made our lives, and those that say they're not interested. But I promise you, if they give us a commitment, us meaning those are the stakeholders and those of us that do this thing because we love our community and we believe and we have the vision for a better, that our streets can be just as good as those streets up on the north side and in DC and all these other places. But we have to do what's important. We have to show up where it matters, and that's at the polls. I'm sorry, I digress.
Oh yeah, I hear you. Go ahead, Congressman.
No, I think that one of you, I'm not sure which one, suggested that sometimes it's a lack of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most of the time it's a lack of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And if people have enough knowledge, then they know that age is not necessarily the factor that determines people's engagement. Alexander the Great was 19 years old when he supposedly conquered everything there was to conquer, and then sat down and cried.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wasn't nothing else to conquer. It's my understanding that we celebrate Easter, and so there's been a lot of focus on Jesus the Christ.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that Jesus the Christ was basically a boy, a millennial. And he was a young fella who never got to be more than 33 years old, but had the impact on changing people's thinking about a whole bunch of stuff, not just Christianity, but if you read the Bible and you know that the first part of it really has a great deal to do with the war and the fights among the different groups and tribes. You read the other part, it had a great deal to do with governance and the people's protest against the Roman Empire. And so when I hear people say, I ain't religious, but I'm spiritual, I never know what that means. I've been trying to.
I think, well, for me, when I say I'm spiritual, it just means that I believe in the higher power's existence, and I've channeled my speaking to that person by being still, right? And as the Bible would say, I believe, be still, and that's where you'll find them, something like that. You know what I mean? So, but what it is like, for instance, I don't show up to church every Sunday. You know, I don't think, and part of it is when we talk about poverty pimps and stuff, like, I feel like we've lost our way even with that. The covenant isn't in the church; it's in the people. It's outside. You know, so it's more or less like the religious part is the structured part of it. There you'd find many of people who have been in a certain religious structure that are now starting to speak out about it. I felt like I was living in a cult, XYZ. You know what I mean? Because they said I had to do this. This was the only way to live. This was how you found. So for me, I find God in the things that I do by channeling it, by being silent, prayer, but not having or committing myself to going to a place where they say he is, to me, he is the people and he outside. So that's what spirituality means to me.
Oh, I'd always just simply say processes.
I just want to ask a question real quick to Steve, DeAndre. Again, what is the conversation about tonight? Is it about Easter, religion? This is about economic development, public safety. I know that I don't know if this is your podcast, but I just want to just be understanding where I'm participating in tonight.
Well, we know what you all about, Tim. We know that, but we also gonna pay homage to the resurrection and Easter. Since it is that day, and spirituality is always a part of, I would hope, everyone's life in some form or fashion. But we are going to hit the real topics because we got a good amount of people on here, and I know how you like to come out swinging, so we're going to let you swing.
Oh, yeah. Like I say, hey, we look, the conversation is driven wherever it don't go.
I just wanted to just get to the, as we say, the meat and potatoes of it. So that
Tim, you don't need no more meat and potatoes, bro.
Once I saw this Gardner on here, I said, okay, I know Miss Gardner's concerns are about public safety. And,
let me address Let me address the question you had earlier when you were talking about the community and how this has all got to come together and all that. I'm just going to say the only way it's going to change, we got to do it one block at a time, one community at a time, one relationship at a time. And that's the aim. I mean,
I think we also have to figure out what it is that we want to change.
Right.
And
it's a lot.
There are many people who really don't want to change anything.
That's absolutely.
And there are many other people who don't get engaged in trying to change anything.
Right.
Because they just kind of cop out.
Right.
And say, this is the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like a person telling me they don't vote.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's cool. But what do they do?
What do you do?
They don't vote. What do they do? And if they don't know anybody to vote for, what do they know? Do they know anything other than to just be and continue to be?
Right.
Well, that's one thing. I want to say, thank you, Congressman. I just wanted to sort of get to it because tonight we have the rare privilege of having our commander for the 15th district listening in. And I know Mary Gardner, the folks from Midway, and particularly where you live at, Congressman, have some concerns with some ideas. So I just wanted to sort of get to that and not for the respective time. That's it.
Well, let me just say this about the commanders and all the commanders. I've known a lot of commanders. As a matter of fact, my cousin was the commander of the 15th district at one point. And I didn't even know he was my cousin part of the time. But we discovered, we discovered that we were real cousins, that we wasn't
Which commander
play
was that?
cousins, that we was real cousins. Commander Davis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
I didn't know any
Davis.
But I also discovered that the origin of his name came from the same as that of my mother's matriarchal name, which was Glass, Glass. But what I'm saying, and I think somebody has said it, change is evolutionary.
Mm-hmm.
Change, now there are some people who like to change.
Or it could be revolutionary. I just want to say
that.
It
can be revolutionary, but more often, now when it's revolutionary, somebody often gets killed. Somebody gets changed. That's what Russia is trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Russia is right now engaged in the kind of change that Putin is seeking, but he's doing it in a revolutionary way by killing up as many Ukrainians as he can kill. And so that's a kind of change.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're looking for that kind of change. I think we're looking for a different kind of change that comes more closer to equalizing things in our society.
So we got a comment that says, well, we getting killed every day in our communities.
Yeah, you do, but you don't get killed at the same rate, and you don't get killed. And the other thing is, I think we have to be intellectually honest when we are talking and discussing things, and that's what I find to be most distasteful about the way that sometimes we do politics, is that there's a great deal of intellectual dishonesty on the table and in the process. And so if anybody know any of these instant changes that they're seeking, I'd sure like to know about them.
Say, I've been around it for a long time.
And I'd like to be able to
Well,
read
well,
about
let me just
it
say this,
and understand them.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just really want to try to, for us to take advantage of the opportunity, talk about some of the things locally that you guys had brought up earlier, while we're on the phone, so that we're not wasting the opportunity. I know DeAndre, you and Jose met with us earlier this week about some of the things you want to implement, some of the changes, the ideas that you guys want to bring aboard. And I think this platform would be excellent to try to share that as we go forward, because the commander has a lot of great ideas and he has a lot of great energy, because he's pushing a lot of us to really get out there, to make those connections, to be in front of the ideas of progress.
I wish the commander had the ability and the authority to do all of that. I don't know any commander.
Me too.
Yeah, that's me. I'm sorry, Tim, for cutting you off. I'm so sorry. But even though maybe the commander should have asked the community about ideals before he came with here, because we live, work, and breathe Austin. So we should have been asked to be part of the ideals before he came with his ideals. That's where we keep falling short.
Ms. Burke, let me say this. So that
I'm just going by what you said first.
I didn't say he come with ideas. He's seeking ideas and relationships. He has a lot of energy, things that he would like to try to get done, but he can't get it done without the community being involved. So with this platform that Northwest Austin Council has, going with the podcast, he's just here tonight to try to listen in and speak with everyone. So as you know, Bertha, we don't operate that way.
Well, you know, look, I'm taking him to things that has never come to pass, and it's been over 6 months ago. So I want to see what the new stuff is, because previously I'm not with it because he didn't bring it.
I think so. Look, so I was going to say this.
Put on the table, DeAndre.
Yes.
And I think the timing for your the event on the 20th is perfect. Number one is that we've lost, and I'm talking, across the spectrum. We've lost respect for our neighbors. Respect for the fact that keeping the sidewalks clean. And it's a lot that it's a generational disconnect. And it's not to say we can't fix it, because I hear and I understand what Miss Bertha is coming from. And I appreciate the commander coming on. My biggest frustration with my CAPS meeting is that I don't see a lot of y'all at these meetings. DeAndre, I see
yeah. Look,
just complaining. But what's gonna make the difference at our CAPS meeting is that if we have you all, the millennials and the Z's, and just talking about how we can better the community, because it is definitely going to take a village.
Yeah.
So, that's not something that's going to happen in 30 days or by the next election. But we can use this opportunity as a starting point, because, that's the other thing. And I keep saying DeAndre, but, I'm just talking about your generation and the Z's.
I got you.
It takes patience, because I'm trying to figure out why there's so many carjackings now. Why we can't sit in the car and finish the conversation for fear of being carjacked. So those are some things maybe the commander and those guys that are responsible for making our streets safer for us can figure out how can we, what can we do to change that pattern? Because I'm not speaking for the congressman, but I can guarantee you he's doing and bringing things that help us deter the crime. It's us. It's those of us that are living there every day, seeing my neighbor that we got to step up.
Well, one thing we know about the congressman on the Ways and Means Committee, that's the most powerful committee they got over there. So he the one that got the ways and the means. So he is taking care of that part. Now, look, as it relates to some of the things that we've been involved in, I saw Barry on the line. I'm sure Barry want to talk about time exchanges as well as Peacebrook, this narrative of the West Side, the story that needs to be told about changing our circumstance. Steve and I have what we call 40 blocks in the movement, where we went from Central to Austin, North Avenue to Division. We surveyed the entirety of the community, whoever we could get, got 228 surveys, found 24 people willing to be leaders of their block, point person, stewards, whatever you want to call them. And we're trying now to develop those people. Hell, I created a community leadership training and was putting those individuals through. The same thing continues to happen, though. As our community gets older and moved out, we're starting to face an issue with the divide between the community. There's certain people that are behind gates that don't want to do nothing to do with us. And then there's the other half that are moving away. So that you're really not going to find too many millennial people still in the community, because to us, we like, this ain't our community no more. And we're not the homeowners like that still. So that's part of it. But I'd like to hear what the commander want to talk about in terms of supporting. You got well, first I guess Barry, because the 40 blocks thing that Steve and I did, we want to carry that on. We only got to 40 blocks, but we want to do another 40 blocks. If that's something that you all think is a sound enough strategy, it's about building relationships. It's about developing leadership. It's about trying to get people more involved. That's why we did it. And then Barry, if you could go ahead and talk about some of the things that you're involved in, and if the commander likes either of those options or has some others that you want to throw in the mix, then I'd like to hear them too.
So, hi everyone. I'm Barry, and so there are two things we've been working on. One is the story of Peacebrook. And the story of Peacebrook is a story in which it's just a description of the West Side that already exists. And it's the story of people helping each other and of having a thriving community and local grassroots governance. And a lot of the details of what we've laid out is kind of the structure of it. The actual stories, the day-by-day stories, need to be written by the young people, the old people, all of the people to flesh it out. And the second part that DeAndre mentioned is the time exchanges. And time exchanges works like this. Larry, if I hit you for an hour, I credit my account for that hour and I debit yours. So the hour I just earned helping you, I could spend by asking someone to help me. The hour you owe, you can clear by helping someone. So the essence of time exchanges is helping each other and using time as money, because we all have 24 hours in a day, as long as we're breathing. And some of us are hardly breathing. And those folks, we can support some of those folks. If an elder in the family becomes incapacitated, hopefully in a functional family, they support the elder. But if it's half the community, that's not viable.
This is why I said we have to do this one block at a time.
Steve, could we do something real quick?
Sure.
Because it is Easter, and we know a lot of folks have a lot of other family responsibilities and interaction. Can we just get the commanders to say something for a moment?
For sure.
And sort of let them know.
For sure.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Commander Parham, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. How are you guys?
All right.
What's up, Commander? I just saw you.
Yeah, I try to stay busy in the community, but
That's what's up.
as many of you guys know, I have been away at the FBI Academy all year. I just got back a few weeks ago, but like I said, I'm committed to work with my team, who are very dedicated, just to help the community and come up with new concepts and ideas that would translate the best results for public safety for everybody. Everybody has a voice. I listen to everyone. And like I said, I want to put together the best package of what can be delivered to the community for the best results.
Mm-hmm. So what's your thought? What's some of the strategy? What do you think about, this 40 blocks idea that Steve and I have already undertaken? The time exchanges and the peace brook. And again, these are community building tools that we've already tried. We are putting into place. What's your thoughts about getting behind something like that? Or what are even your thoughts about community building in general, so that we can see how we can help each other?
Yeah, I think it's all about relationships and communication. I've met with Barry before. I've met with just a ton of people in the community, and each problem, each location, each thing, that's important to the community is important to us. And like I said, it's not really a one size fits all. Everybody brings great ideas and concepts, and they just have to be adapted for whatever location for the best results for the community. Some of the strategies that I've seen you guys bring, that I've seen others bring to my office, that I've talked to other people on the phone, I've been on Zoom meetings with people, I think they've been brilliant, outstanding. But like I said, it's all about relationships. It's all about communication. It's all about moving forward as a group.
And let me just sort of just jump in, because as you're talking to DeAndre and Steve, some of the things that you guys talking about doing, we want to add to the community response teams that we have developed. We constantly come up building it out. So nothing is really what you say etched in stone, but we really need your input. Northwest Officer Council, Leola Span, the history that she has brought to Austin and being the lead, we're going to need that.
Mm-hmm.
Most definitely, Tim. Again, I think the commander's on track. It's one relationship at a time. It's one block at a time. It's one 40 block sector at a time. And, we're not going to hit them all, but we can checkerboard around from 40 blocks to 40 blocks until we encapsulate the blocks that are really showing all the, the violence and the crime. And hopefully those that are in that 40 blocks would look around them and see things starting to diminish. I mean, we just found in the 40 blocks that we just did, we know where the trouble spots are. And now that's what we try to get everybody in that 40 blocks to put their emphasis and concentrate on it. Whether these people need support or whether these people need to go.
Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting. This idea about relationships is interesting as well, because my saying is that politics are nothing but the relationships to get to the resources. And it's always great when we have Congressman Davis here, but I want to get your thoughts about that, because that is ultimately what will help guide us. It's the political leadership is very much necessary, and I think there is a little bit of culpability in the violence that goes on too.
Well, let me just say this about leadership.
I really want to be respectful for the time, because it was me that really asked the commanders to jump on for a moment. So, I really want to be respectful to his time, his family, because whether you guys realize it or not, he puts in about at least 16 to 20 hours a day. You know, he get about 4 hours of sleep. So, I mean, but that's his job.
Real cheap side up. That's what I was saying.
Yes, it is. But I'm just asking that we just be, it's Easter Sunday, and he's trying to get the time in with his family.
Oh.
So if there's anything else that we ask, we can let him go. And
okay, I feel you. I feel like
those questions, concerns to
Mr. Brown, I would just say,
I feel
with
like
all due respect, to the commander and everybody, I just thought his comments were kind of they weren't
basic.
They were just kind of you know broad. Thank you very much. And I didn't get a lot from that, so I was just just a little disappointed that he didn't say something that kind of got me like right on. Yes, he's right there on the money. You know, in terms of the understanding what the 15th district and the whole, really the whole West Side needs. And I know he's not over the entire West Side. So I'm just, maybe that's something y'all can discuss when you go back.
And whole time, we're going to have to set the commander up to slide on us. Come on down here at 6 o'clock, man. We ain't going to take much of your time. I promise you. We got a whole setup for you.
Well, see, the other thing is, I didn't hear the commander say anything about time, and learn about his time and all of that. I think the commander is a professional. He is here to do a job. And I think he's prepared to recognize that it's really working together, as everybody who has said. I don't put all of the onus on law enforcement as being able to solve all the crimes that exist in a community. No, I think the law enforcement have a role to play. But in reality, nothing takes the place of activated people engaged and involved with each other.
Yeah.
And if people don't do that, they're looking for somebody else.
We're asking for a lot, just a little bit. That's all we do.
And so I ain't looking for the commander to save the community.
Right.
No, I'm looking for the people to be engaged enough with law enforcement, with the commander and his team, as he mentioned, his team, saying, I can't do all of the stuff just myself, but I'm going to provide leadership to the team, and we're going to be as engaged in fighting crime and preventing crime as we can possibly be. But we need your help. We need your guidance. We need your involvement. We need you to do all of the things. Now, that's what I kind of gleaned from what I expect.
Thank you, Congressman. I really appreciate you saying that. Because whether you guys realize or not, I think of Belva Bruner, Ms. Gardner, because, there's a lot of advocates that's always working with our team, with the commander in various areas, DeAndre, to Steve Robertson with NAC, and you're correct. Thank you.
Let me just say this. I don't know if you guys missed the point that DeAndre made. He said we captured 24 leaders out of 40 blocks. That's more than 50%. And that leadership is needed. We need to be able to have that communication with the lead person on each block. That really helps everything. I mean, why does the 1,200 and the 1,300 and the 1,400 and 1,500 and Menard, I mean, the crime rate on those blocks is, in the last 30 years is probably almost nothing, Why is that? Because they all communicate.
They say you have to go 12. You have to go from 1,100 north to 1,200 south with me, okay? Because as you know,
you almost from 15 district.
Better than I do.
Right.
1,200 north and up is all 25.
Right.
Below 1,200.
But the point is though that that because of the communication just between that strip, they are better blocks. So that's what he's just saying, just making a point.
Actually, they got more response from the 15th district than they did from the 25th district for the last 30 years than anything.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just.
And the thing with.
Thank you.
And to me, 15 kind of does the outreach better than most of the other.
Can we do this? Because you guys have my phone number. Can we just let the commander go?
For sure.
Oh, if he got something else to say, do we want to? Yeah, go ahead. I mean, my bad. Go and talk to him, man. Y'all go ahead, man. I think, Tiny, you got some.
What about traffic stops? I mean, we got speed cameras and stoplight cameras. Why do we have to have the police doing traffic stops? That's dangerous for the police and for the citizens.
Okay. Before I answer that, let me try to use this as an example, like where I talk about different strategies. You know, I tried to do an overview to give like a broad, kind of basic, almost superficial definition of how it really works. But like I'm gonna use something a little more solid. So right now, I heard somebody mention carjacking. We have a pattern of carjackings about the 600 block of the crime. Yeah, Leamington. We put out a crime pattern about it, but let me explain how this works. So, you know, we review reports. We see that there is this crime pattern involving carjackings. We make sure that we do what's called a community alert. Community alert is flooded everywhere. We put it on our social media page, our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram. We have our CAPS office go flyer that particular area, so everybody has like a breakdown of what to do when they encounter any type of situation like this, and to raise community awareness. Beyond that, we have what's called DCOs in the districts. They're district community officers. They will be assigned like a project number for what's going on in that area, to liaison with the detectives, to liaison with different city organizations. We have a list of block clubs. We're going to work through that coming up this week and see if we can put together some meetings with the people in the community so they know exactly what's happening, exactly what our response is. We have a text thread where we put out information about what's going on. It's not, I mean, that's what I mean basically. Oh, and you know, we're not counting even our outreach, our different civilian organizations, our Austin response team, and their help to what's going on, you know, when we see a problem like this. But I guess what I was trying to say earlier is like every problem is different. Every problem, think of us more as surgeons than policemen. And what I mean by that is each problem is looked at and broken down and we try our best to figure out how best to handle it. Each problem is different. Each problem requires its own problem solving and some solution. And, you know, we make sure that we built these relationships over time, and that we work with all different avenues, organizations. We put our heads together and we think of how best to solve this. And, you know, telling you like the strategy for the carjackings, it's not even getting into just like different police tactics that we do. So like, for instance, you mentioned traffic stops. Traffic stops is basically, it's like a form of proactive policing. They're surgical where we try to go and where we try to do them at based on different, again, problems as far as law enforcement. It could be carjackings, it could be shootings, it could be gang conflict, it could be anything. And I mean, what you'll see with most of our traffic stops now, I mean, there's a lot of information that's gathered, a lot of relationships that are built. You show up in an area and just hammer it. You just start writing a bunch of parking tickets. You start writing a bunch of movers. It's very hard to build relationships like that. So, like I said, it's like it's like the outside way of coming in to build, to also assist in building relationships. So again, no, I hope I wasn't too long-winded and kind of answer some of these questions. But I mean, like I said, each problem is individualized. And I mean, I will make time for anybody in the community as far as what's going on, as far as our strategies. And like I said, I welcome the voice of anybody. I'm not the smartest man in the room. My team, we're not, you know, nobody's the smartest man in the room. We're all working together to try to come up with the best solution humanly possible.
Yeah, but let me say this. They even stopped the congressman. They did a traffic stop on him. and they stopped me. I'm 77 years old. And it's ridiculous that they're out there doing that. And it puts the policeman in danger and the citizens in danger.
Well, I'm sorry that happened. Like I said, I don't really know any of the background about what happened in relation to that. But like I said, it's like it is like a small part of proactive policing that we do encourage based on things that are happening in particular areas. I couldn't tell you how many from traffic stops, how many guns that have been taken off the street, how many people have been arrested for warrants, how many people have been arrested for all kind of stuff, or how much information has been given to the police about different things going on, different investigations, and how many relationships were just able to be cultivated just from the interactions.
Commander, how can you find out those numbers you just mentioned? For instance, since that police car has been sitting there on Madison and Laramie, how much has improved in that area? How many guns have you all taken off the street? How can we get that information? Because you brought it up, how can we get that information to compare today's date versus last year this time?
Oh, we run that information daily. So again, my team, everybody, and also I want to say this to everybody. My wife is looking at me. She's ready to stab me because it's Easter and I
already know what time it is.
So I can't really stay on too long. I'm trying not to be the victim of a battery or a divorce.
We know that.
We run that information daily. There's no reason it couldn't be public knowledge. And we keep track of it and we keep tabs because we want to know how we're doing.
So no way, I forgot.
Yeah, because if you want to back up there, it would be good to share that with community. Because you brought it up, that would be something nice to share with community.
I'll tell you this, I have mentioned in several meetings just the decline in aggravated batteries, shooting, murders that the district has had over the last year, especially over the last 6 months. So like I said, sharing this wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Miss Bertha, I hear you. Already, when I get into, see, I was out there Sergeant Scott, so that we'll make sure that we have it at our next big meeting, 1511, 1523. And I think we got 1533s coming up. The beat that you're talking about is actually 1533's beat. And that's on actually Madison and Leamington. That's really what the information that you were looking for, or discussing that immediate area would be shared. So, all you gotta do is just give me a call Tuesday, and we'll have it for you. And I will actually share with NAC, Steve, just give me a call, and so that you can share with the residents, and 15 also DeAndre.
I got you.
All right, Tim.
Anyway, you guys, it's been a pleasure, and like I said, I look forward to talking to you guys all again. But I'm trying not to get sad.
Man, go ahead, set us up some time. No, set us up an hour. We need an hour out, you Commander. Come on, we need an hour. Come on down. We'll have some chicken. Just tell your wife you're gonna be done at 7. I'm telling you. Come on down. Let's talk to us.
We typically do that. We do meet the commanders when they're new. We typically do that. We have all the residents come out. That's in the 15th and what have you, and they,
Yeah, let's put something in motion. Let's get a family reunion going on. We ain't seen you in a minute.
Sounds spectacular. Like I said, I'm really excited and blessed to be back. Like I said, I appreciate all you guys.
No, thank you all.
People that are passionate about their community.
Nah, thank you for coming on, man. You have a wonderful rest of the night, and tell your wife we said hi. Thank her for allowing you to be on tonight.
Hold on one second. Apparently say good night to everybody. Good night.
Good night.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good one, man. Enjoy the rest of y'all Easter Sunday.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
All right now. Yeah.
Now let me try to weigh in on the question that Mary asked earlier.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Because everything is a matter of cause and effect. In order for the law enforcement people to do their job, they have to have equipment, they have to have money, they have to have certain kinds of authority, and they can't just get out and do whatever they decide to do. The lawmakers determine what the law is.
Turn it off.
Yeah, the lawmakers make the law.
Right.
And the people who enforce the law, they are supposed to enforce the law based upon what the lawmakers say they can do. And so I think we sometimes get beyond the origin. And of course, the lawmakers also have a responsibility to listen to the people. And so when we talk about leadership, you know what a good leader does is listen. A good leader listens. And after he or she listens and learns what the people want, then they try to get in front of the people and say, come on, y'all, let's go do this. People feel good about it when they do, because the people know that the origin was with them. I'm saying the people know that they came up with the direction, and the people who are supposed to be leading them are in essence following them. And so there are a lot of people who don't understand these processes and how things have come to be. Right now, there's a fair amount of money circulating in our communities. That is public money. Public money, not private money. Public money. So much and so until many of our local communities have more money than they determined how to use. That's called a surplus. Many local governments, some county governments, some big city governments, some state governments have more money than they have been able to use. And that's because the federal government has been giving them money. Right. Providing money for them. Now, a lot of people don't know that. They don't understand that. They see ribbon cuttings and ribbon groundbreakings. Damn near all the money that caused the breaking to take place came from Washington, District of Columbia. And a lot of times the people who generated it, they don't even know when the groundbreaking is. Yeah. Because folks breaking the ground didn't tell them. And they sure didn't tell the people that they wanted to come, that so and so them got this money here. Yeah. We are going to use it. Now, somebody said to me the other day, so you know, some people been in place too long. Guess what happens when a new person get there? They got to figure it out. No. After everybody else say what they got to say, then the new person gets a chance to talk. That's true. That's true. That's true. Or the new person get a chance to ask. Or the new person get a chance to get their fingers in the pot. But the newest is the lastest. Yeah, the newest is the lastest. So if you're on a committee and you're just having debate, and there are 25 people on your side, and you're number 25, guess when you get a chance to say your part? You say you better have the strongest 2 minutes up there. After the 24 have already spoken. Yeah. And said what they needed or what they thought was the best approach and what was the best effort. So trying to make, and there's a long distance between Chicago and Washington, D.C. So things go on every day that are significant there. And many people, or most people, really don't know what those were, or don't know how they were influenced and how they were impacted.
Mm-hmm.
Last night, I gave a speech down at the Drake Hotel, and I was very pleased because 95% of the people there, of course, were not African American. They were other racial and ethnic groups. It was the celebration of a company that had been in business in the Lawndale community for 100 years.
Mm.
And they have a great record. As a matter of fact, many of the people who have worked for them during that period of time have spent more than 20 years. A big deal with them is how many people have stayed with their company 20 years or more. And so every year when somebody reaches number 20, they get into the 20-year club.
Mm-hmm.
20-year club. So deciding stuff, many of the organizations around that exist, that get large amounts of money. Fortunately, I had been there when they got started.
100 years ago?
What's the company? What's the name of it?
No, that's a franchise with a company. That's an organization.
This is an organization.
Yeah, the only commercial things I've ever worked for that was designed to make a lot of money was a restaurant.
Mm.
The rest of the work time that I've had, I've either worked for public entities, not-for-profits, public institutions, or government.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but no, this is Roscoe.
Roscoe. Oh yeah, off the expressway.
Oh yeah. Right. Okay, yeah. Nice.
Uniforms, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the son now is running the company. When I first met them, the father was running it.
Nice.
Don Buick, now his son Jim, and eventually I suspect that Jim's daughter will probably run it.
I love family-owned operations.
But they have stayed in the Lawndale community. Lots of other companies have left and been gone or couldn't make it for whatever the reasons are. But they have remained, and they are indeed there.
Yeah, you're right. I remember them when I was a kid. They were right there.
Well, same thing. In a minute, we'll probably be putting out a lot of information. But one thing that we got, and I think what Mary may have been talking about to some degree, we just got a report the other day in terms of where people stand on issues.
Mm-hmm.
And to my surprise, the people putting the report together suggested that in all likelihood, my position on issues are more progressive than the people that I represent for the most part. I have almost 100% labor record, high 90s. I have almost 100% environmental protection record in the high 90s. I have almost 100% anti-poverty record in the high 90s. I have a crime fighting record almost 100% in terms of dealing with gun control and getting rid of guns and the role that guns play in crime and in the promotion of crime. So all of these are things that people are going to be talking a great deal about, especially leaning and moving up to November. And Illinois is going to be a hotbed of political activity.
Yes, sir.
And political discussion.
Yes, sir.
Because there's going to be a big fight between the two main political parties. to see which one will dominate or control the political environment. Well, I can tell you, I sure don't want to live in a state where Republicans are in control of the state, no matter what anybody thinks about politics, no matter what anybody believes about politics, no matter how much disdain people may have about the only alternative to silver politics is warfare. There is no other alternative. Nobody just sends down a decree that people are going to agree on some stuff. And so if you don't have silver politics, then you have war.
Civil war.
War. And war is hell. I mean, I don't know any other way for people to make decisions except to discuss and debate and ultimately arrive at something they say, here is what we're going to do. I just introduced a bill the other day called Babies Before Billionaires. And all it really does is suggest that billionaires need to pay more taxes so that we can do a better job of taking care of babies.
I thought billionaires pay about 50% already.
No, matter of fact, some billionaires didn't pay a dime.
Oh, well, now, look, far be it from me, because I believe the way our tax laws are set up, if you work them, then that's okay. I'm not, but I do believe people are supposed to pay their fair share. But listen, you guys set the laws now.
That's what Trump said. Trump said,
hey man,
if you get around it, don't pay. But we gotta have laws.
No, but you gotta, but it has to be a balance. But so my question is, if we know that the tax code, as presently written, is what is allowing this to happen, why haven't we changed the tax code?
We haven't changed it because the people in charge of changing it have not seen fit to do so.
Okay, so the Republican Party will be in charge of the tax code?
Well, it's more than just the party. You know, about half the people don't vote.
Okay. Oh, who do you mean? What do you mean half the people don't vote?
People.
Oh, people. Okay. Right. Okay.
I'm talking about any people. I'm talking about if you get a 50% turnout, like the elections coming up in June, if 50% of the people vote, oh my goodness, we'll be crowned in that.
Right, I get what you said.
And drinking.
All right, so all right. So one thing I want to do, I want to play our video ad that we run. But and then I got a couple things I want to say in the regard of trying to, because I have some ideas and thoughts about how we should start looking at things politically, and y'all just tell me how I am.
Let everyone know about the coalition's candidates forum.
Yeah, we got the yep. All right, so let me do.
Have you been to the Seoul?
Oh shoot.
Have you been to the Seoul City Community Market yet? It's a pop-up grocery store over on the west side of Chicago in the Austin neighborhood. They have local vendors selling fresh fruit, vegetables, meats, prepared foods, and honestly more things than I can even say in this video. What's also pretty cool is they accept link card, and they also match up to $25 of link card purchases. They even have a free photo booth, which honestly I think is a really nice touch. It's over on 5713 West Chicago Avenue, right at the corner of Chicago Avenue and Waller. Click on over to our profile for more info.
All right, y'all. So listen, if you ain't been to 5713 West Chicago Avenue yet, please do so. As the video mentioned, listen, they are open from on Saturday, Sunday, 9 to 3, Saturday, 10 to 3 on Sunday. It's a whole host of fresh fruits and vegetables to buy. I've shopped several times. I think it's very important that we continue to spend in our community so those dollars can circulate a little bit more. And besides, that is a Black-owned establishment, the first one that I know of that's going up in the Austin community that serves us. So please, 5713 West Chicago Avenue. You get an opportunity, just stop by. There's also tons of vendors, one of which I love to point out right now. I think La Conexion Moja, which is recently retired Chicago Police, Jamaise Nellum's brand. Man, nice products. Listen, I told y'all the other day I had that CBD melatonin combo. Look, put me on my, you feel me? So listen, if you having trouble sleeping, go grab some of that. She got some real nice shea butters for the men, for the women, lip gloss. Man, it's all everything. It's 100% organic and it's all good. So I'm very much so supporting that product, and you should too. All right, so
we need to get it on.
Here, yeah, we got to get it on.
I think Tiny had a question.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, Tiny. You had a question? Or was it a previous question? Anybody? Questions or responses?
So, well, look, I'm gonna jump right in. So one of the things that I said we need to do, this is, in fact, we have a teaching session, so to speak, in the South Austin, May 4th, from 5:30 to 7 at Michelle Clark. It is led by the South Austin Neighborhood Coalition Association, SANA. And myself, I got the first 10 minutes, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to get up there and talk that sauce. Now, one of the things that I truly believe in, speaking to Mary's point about like even young people, you know, needing to be more involved, in Congress, to your point, people just don't know sometimes. We got to educate them. I'm doing this thing where I want to take 10 people, and I'm starting off with 10 people because I think that's a good number. 10 people. I need those 10 people that don't know their alderman, state rep, state senator, congressman, and commissioner to come with me, get a meeting with these individuals, and just talk about what they do. I think that is part of the reason why we don't understand and don't get involved, because we haven't built the relationships. We keep talking relationship. As I said, politics are nothing but the relationships to get to the resources. The Ways and Means Committee, resources. All the grant money coming down, resources. You want to know how to get your home repaired, resources. You need something for your child to go to school, resources. Politics are nothing but the relationships to get to the resources. The reasons why we are left in the dark as it relates to our political consciousness is because we haven't developed the relationships with some of the most important people in those positions. Your state rep, your state legislator, your state rep, your state senator, your congressman, your commissioner, and your alderman. Get with me, and I'm going to show you how to get a relationship with those individuals. I feel like if you meet those 5 people, you find out what they do, and you still don't vote, then that just becomes you just don't give a damn. You one of the people we just gonna leave alone. Like, you know what? You good. You good because you don't want to be a part of anything. There's no way you can meet them 5 people and then decide that you don't want to go vote, because now you know their job. Now you know the person. And that, to me, so that's one thing. The other thing is, Congressman, man, you should be teaching. Why you ain't teaching politics, man? You know too much. What a book at? What's something, man?
Well, we do, but we just don't have. Most of my time is actually spent in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to sometimes tell people that they don't make national laws in Chicago.
No, they don't.
No, they make local laws. They make aldermanic laws. They make state rep laws in Springfield.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But they make national laws in D.C. Now, last week I spent some time. I went to Fisk University to do their honors convocation on last Wednesday. And it was great being there. But W.B. Du Bois went to school and all of the history of Fisk. So I spent the whole day. I visited some classes, met with the president, met with student leaders, and gave this convocation speech. Had a good time. The day before that, I spoke to all the students at the Bolingbrook High School in Bolingbrook, Illinois. The reason I was in Bolingbrook, the mayor of Bolingbrook is an Egyptian lady. And I do a lot of stuff with different ethnic groups and all. And so at this high school was the mayor of the town, the superintendent of schools, of course, the principal, as well as people from the community and all of the 3,000 students. And they had questions they laid out. And we just had ourselves a good time. And then I managed to have lunch with them. And part of the impetus, the woman who used to live right here on Parkside, Ruby Lofton, who moved out to that area. And so we are engaged. This art of debating and decision making and that's a big part of this thing called politics. And if you don't know that and don't pay enough time, I mean, you can be in a place and still not have a lot of influence. I mean, you can be there, but you can also be there and have influence. You can be there, and when you speak, people will get quiet and listen. Last night at the Drake, I was amazed, quite honestly, because it was a noisy crowd celebrating and stuff like that. And it was like when I started speaking, you could feel a pin drop in the room, which meant they were listening, which meant that they heard whatever it was that I was saying. And then evidence later, they came and told me so. I mean,
right.
I'm saying, so this business of winning friends and influencing people, but
Dale
also
Carnegie.
motivating people and causing people to believe in something or that something can happen. And that too is a part. I saw President Obama endorsed Alexis Janulis. I was totally surprised. I mean, I really was, given the politics, but they used to play ball together, which means
it's my man's.
They developed a relationship. Right. I'm saying. So I just saw it on TV.
Oh yeah.
When
but he also endorsed Rahm Emanuel. So people gonna look at things in a little different, dynamic.
Did. What it means though is that relationships also play a role.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Relationships have never stopped. The adage has always been, "Ain't what you know is who you know."
Yeah,
it's a lot of fools right now in politics. That's what gets on my nerves. There's a lot of fools in politics right now.
And sometimes one will outweigh the other, and other times it does not. I'm saying.
Yeah.
And for example, I've got friends, people that I like, but it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to endorse them.
Right. Okay.
I sit on a board with Richard Irwin.
Okay, yeah, Richard.
Yeah.
Yep.
I sit on a board with him. I went to his inauguration when he got elected mayor of Aurora. More people, the biggest thing in Aurora was jam-packed, filled up. couldn't get there. People were obviously excited. I felt good for the brother too, but I ain't gonna be voting for him.
So he on the wrong side of the aisle, shorty.
I ain't gonna be
Real quick,
voting
I think Bertha, you got a question? You got your hand up? Bertha?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had a problem taking it off mute.
That's
I
okay.
wanted to ask the congressman. I know you mentioned some bills that he had passed, but I couldn't hear it really, really well. If there's any way, Steve or DeAndre, you could get those numbers so I can kind of take a look at them, please.
Well, I can tell you, yeah, I didn't mention that I had gotten passed. I mentioned that bill is one I just introduced. But the bill that people know the most about my passing is the Second Chance Act that I wrote, passed, conceptualized, conceived it, birthed it.
So that was my baby right there.
And the time we got it passed, Republicans were in charge of the presidency, and Republicans were also in charge of the House of Representatives. Now, there are several other bills as well. The sickle cell bill is mine. I'm the number one promoter of sickle cell in terms of finding resources to fight sickle cell and find a cure. My main partner is a Republican doctor, Dr. Burgess from Texas, who is a Republican, but he's also a physician. And it always helps when you've got a physician dealing with health care.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's an added piece. Another one is the Mentor Protege program, where we put in place an opportunity for big companies to help small companies. And the company that really did the most with that was R.R. Donnelley and Son, the biggest printing company in the United States of America. They gave more business to a little printing shop in Broadview, Illinois, sitting right on Roosevelt Road out there. Fellow had a little company called All Print. And he was able to get more business from one contract with R.R. Donnelley than he's gotten the rest of his life of being in business. I could mention some others, but we can get you a copy of all those.
So I got a quick question, Congressman. So as far as your race, you're past the petition stage, and obviously you've made the ballots, correct?
Correct, and I think there are going to be two other people on the ballot. And I know one of them was challenged, and I don't know the outcome of one of the other candidates challenged the other
candidate.
And I don't know the outcome of that, but there are three of us that
vie in for the chair.
Yeah.
I want to tack on to Steve's question. Do you all have a candidates forum? That they're gonna, because I think that's part of the education that we don't get. We don't have candidate forums like we need to have.
Well, we don't have them like we used to have when I was the person putting most of them on.
Man, no, we gonna get that going then. We gonna get that going. We need a candidate forum.
We want to make sure that
we need a candidate forum.
Realize
being, in Washington, but when I was in Albany and a ward committeeman, we educated. Oh my gosh, we had when Harold Washington was running for mayor. That's when I was in Albany.
That's a good point. I don't want to cut your wisdom, but the committeeman is the one that's supposed to educate, right?
That's correct.
And the fact is, all committeemen are already aldermen who are already in position. That's the Fox Garden hen house. But go ahead.
Well, not everybody is a Democrat. Now, there are two, every ward has a committeeman,
Mm-hmm.
a Republican committeeman and a Democrat committeeman.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I am is the state central committeeman for the Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
Every congressional district has a state central committee man and a state committee woman.
Okay.
Those individuals are the members of the board of the Democratic Party of Illinois or of the Republican Party of Illinois. I am the Democratic committee man, and Cook County Clerk Karen Yarbrough.
Right. I was couldn't think of. I could say Karen.
Woman.
Yep.
Now we put on forums, and our job as a committeeman is to organize Democrats and have Democrats keyed up for Democrats. I mean, that's.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
These
that makes
are
sense.
volunteer jobs.
That makes sense.
There's no pay associated with them at all. None whatsoever. As a matter of fact, you pay to be
in that number.
That don't make, that's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? Because you have to get elected and you have to campaign and all that.
Oh, right. I see what you're saying.
And so the money comes out of your pocket. You don't. A lot of people who think that this is something you get paid for, and that's because people know so little.
Right.
This is a volunteer role that you play. Now, there used to be a time
before the
when
Shackman.
You could get patronage jobs.
Yep. Before
now
Shackman
you
decree.
Can't get any patronage job. It is against the law for people to get hired or fired based on political patronage. It is against the law. You used to could go to somebody's boss if they worked somewhere and say, look, John didn't carry his precinct. Therefore, I want to switch him and put somebody else in his place. Well, that's history. That's old-fashioned. Now, there is what we call pinstripe patronage. Now, what that really means is that each person who has control over a workplace and all have a number of jobs they can appoint people to if the judge agrees that it is a central job and that if the person ain't for you, they could undermine you, they could undercut you, they could sabotage you. Whatever number of those jobs there are, those are the patronage jobs that exist. Say the sheriff may be able to hire 35 people. Then he can hire whoever he want to hire for those 35. But just those 35. They don't have to have no diploma. They don't have to have no degree. They don't have to know anything about what you're hiring them for. You just control that.
So do committeemen have that opportunity now, or they don't have that at all?
Committeemen don't have nothing.
Okay.
Nothing. The only way a committeeman get one of those is whoever have charge of them. If the committeeman can go and lobby and say, look, John, give me a break. My cousin needs a job.
Okay.
My wife.
It's about relationships again. We back there. Yeah. Back there again.
They generally don't give you one of those unless you do some work. I'm saying maybe your cousin.
Yeah, right.
But you still want your cousin.
Nah, he gonna have to do some. Hey, I tried to put people on in the past before, man. I see how that works.
You want your cousin to go knock on the door and get some signatures and get some people motivated.
Yeah.
That's how the artist stayed in place. But that's all gone. That's history. The Shackman Decree outlawed that. And of course, in the Black community, many of the individuals who used to be precinct captains and all quit. I mean, once they had their patronage job, now they can't be fired. So they quit doing politics. And that's one reason why for many years the white ward bosses continued to have their organization, and every time a ward boss would lose the election, that would be the end. For example, most of the people who probably worked with the alderman in the 29th ward are new. The guys in Ed Burke's ward, their granddaddies, had the same.
Yeah.
I'm saying, but all the guys with Alderman Talaferro, I'd be willing to bet he doesn't have anybody who was a precinct captain in the 29th ward 20 years ago. Just like when I became alderman, I didn't have anybody who remained precinct captain who had been a precinct captain before I became alderman, because they didn't have to join me in order to keep their patronage job. Because this is when the Shackman Decree went into effect. So all those people quit. And so there's nobody left in some areas whose families or whose buddies were in charge, and the people stayed. Like Walter Burnett would be the closest on the west side. And Walter was a part of the organization with George Dunn. And then when redistricting took place, he and Secretary of State Jesse White formed their own organization. They used to be in the 42nd Ward. Then they became the 27th Ward. They formed their own organization. The 28th Ward, Ed Smith got to be the alderman. He didn't have any leftover precinct captains from Alderman Carruthers, Bill Carruthers, who was Isaac Carruthers' father. And of course, Isaac Carruthers' grandfather, and his name was Isaac too, was the first Black person elected on the west side. He was elected as a state representative down in the area further east. And his name was Isaac Sims. But all of the 24th Ward, Michael Scott, well, the Scotts were part of the old 24th Ward, Bill Henry and George Collins and Curtis Collins and those people. So that's a new regime. So he had no people who were holdovers. He had none. And so, but the white organizations like Ed Burke, same families who've been working in that area for years, Mike Madigan, same families been working in that area for years. There were only two Black. John Stroger's 8th Ward remained consistent. John Stroger, 8th Ward, highest voting group. To some degree, the 6th Ward, Eugene Sawyer, and then his son Roderick Sawyer. They were consistent. And the 34th Ward, although there won't be no more 34th
Right.
Ward as it was known.
Yep.
Because that area has been split up, and Carrie Austin is not going to run for re-election.
Yep.
So the 34th Ward is going to be someplace not even.
Yeah, I think what they told me it's going to be 20 something now. 20. It's going to be 20 number.
So you only had 2 or 3 strong voting black wards that had the structure and the precinct captain.
Yeah.
Every ward used to have a precinct captain for every precinct.
Right.
And before the election, you'd see the people out with their bags and literature pieces.
Yeah.
And checking off people's names. They don't do that.
So here's one of the things that I want to know, because the way as I see it, all of those ways that were once instituted was the way that white people did things, and they taught us the game. But at what point do black people decide that we're going to play politics the way we want to? And what does black politics even mean? Because I don't think we have an identity inside of politics.
There are places, but you got to give credit. Black people have done much better in Chicago than black people have done hardly anywhere in America. Politically, I mean, Illinois.
I would agree.
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
First black woman ever elected to the Senate, Carol Moseley Brown.
Yeah.
In Illinois. Right now, a black woman is the lieutenant governor. A black woman is the state's attorney, the biggest county in the state, Cook County, Kim Fox. A black woman is president of the Cook County Board, Tony Preckwinkle, the second largest county in the United States of America. Mayor of Chicago, a black woman, is the mayor of Chicago, fourth largest city in the United States of America. A black woman. The Speaker of the House.
Yes, sir. Black man.
Assembly.
Yes, sir.
I don't know another black president of a General Assembly or chairman of a Speaker of the House of a state government, General Assembly.
That's a fact.
Chris Welch. Right.
That's a fact.
The majority leader of the Illinois Senate, Kim Lightfoot.
That's a fact.
And she had a chance to be the president of the Senate, but some of the blacks didn't vote for her. And therefore she didn't win that. So in terms of having fared with the offices, but now the power is a different thing in terms of Illinois became accustomed to Mike Madigan being the Speaker of the House, and anything that got passed had to come through.
Got to go through him, yeah.
Mike Madigan. Well, Chris Welch is a different kind of person, and Chris does not have that kind of hold on the General Assembly that Mike Madigan had. And Chris Welch got to work hard between now and November to try to hold on to a majority so that he can remain Speaker of the House. If he don't hold on to a majority and get a majority of the state reps elected, he will not be Speaker of the House.
Real quick, Congressman, what was Emil Jones?
President of the Senate.
Okay.
Yeah, Emil was president of the Senate. But now Emil was not the first black president of the Senate. Cecil Partee had been president of the Senate, and Cecil was a very erudite, astute lawyer who came from the state of Arkansas, where he couldn't go to law school in Arkansas. They had a law that blacks couldn't go to the professional schools in the state, nor could they go to schools that granted master's degrees in the state. But they did have a law that if you got accepted to an accredited school somewhere else, they would pay for it. And so Cecil went to Northwestern, but the state of Arkansas paid his tuition.
That's very interesting. That's odd, but
all the black states, southern states, had that same law.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I never knew that. That's what's up.
They all had that same law.
Yeah.
So, and that's why when you evaluate in terms of change, and say ain't nothing changed, well, it just kind of means,
man, that's what I'm saying.
Don't quite know how it was.
Right. I agree. And this is so. Before you came in, I talked about having this series, a conversational series that's going to be spanning the generations, because I think it's important. This is new to me, right? But of course, all I'm going to know is what's been a part of my 30-year-old life. You know what I mean? So I can only offer perspective from there. But people from other generations, I know you got to think it was like this. You know what I mean? And that will help to form a better opinion about the things that we're experiencing now. You know, so I'm highly looking forward to that. Yeah.
For example, until I was at Fisk the other day, I did not know that Booker T. Washington sent his children to Fisk, where he had the big argument with W.B. Du Bois. I mean, they were fierce enemies. I'm talking about intellectually.
Yeah.
They fought like cats and dogs. I'm talking about sometimes it would almost be like fist fights. Because Du Bois was saying that you had to educate the intellect, and Booker Washington was saying, cast down your bucket where you are, learn to be plumbers, learn to be farmers, and I mean that was their big intellectual, and this whole notion of the talented 10th, where the idea that 10% of blacks were specially talented.
Right.
And so these are the ones that ought to get the opportunity for intellectual discovery and intellectual learning, and let the rest of the people learn to hammer and nail and just cast down your bucket. And
that's cool.
Stuff.
That's cool. That's what's up.
We need to give information about things that are coming up, such as your piece again.
So this, like I said, we're doing this series, Generational Spectrum series. It's just a series of iterative discussions that will take place starting April 20th. The first one is a round table. We're going to have one person from Gen Z, Gen Y, Millennial, myself, Gen X, and Baby Boomer to just have regular discourse. Hopefully it's going to be respectful and intellectual so we all can understand, give, and take perspective. The next step will then go into having a forum, maybe 2 people from each generation. In fact, it will be 2 people from each generation. And then that'll be topics that we can focus on. Then the next one after that will be more inclusive and have the teenagers and Z, Y, millennial, whoever else want to attend. And that's going to be a different format, but that's also going to have the food and the music. And the food and music is going to be across the spectrum as well. So we're really putting something together here.
When and where?
So April 20th, Sankofa, 5820 West Chicago Avenue, from 6 to 8. And the other dates are still yet to be determined, but they are going to happen because we're having this series.
And I want to bring up again the political forum that we will be having, the candidates forum for the judicial candidates for 11th Cook County 11th Sub-Circuit and 7th Sub-Circuit.
7 and 11. 7 and 11 Sub-Circuit.
That will be held via Facebook and YouTube.
The same platform we on right now.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The candidates will be on Zoom, so no one will be able to get on Zoom.
Yeah. So if you guys don't know my YouTube, my Facebook, or Steve's Facebook, please get in tune with it because we will broadcast it live. May 10th, 11th, and 12th from 6:30 to 9:30. You get a chance to learn about these judicial candidates that's trying to represent us.
It's a must-be there type of situation because everyone knows when it comes to voting, when you get there, when it goes to looking at the list of judges, no one knows who to vote for.
They're just for real,
oblivious to what's going on.
Yeah.
So here
and it is going to be recorded. This is a recorded live show, so you can go back and listen to it and get to know some people. You're going to be able to see their name. You're going to be able to see the office they're running for, as well as their website if you want to check into them further. So we try to take this thing to the next. We got to educate our people. We try to do what we can do.
And you should know that it was 3 black legislators who created the sub-circuit. There was no sub-circuit until Anthony Young, who was living right here in the 4400 block on Monroe Street at the time, and Paul Williams were the 2 people in the House who proposed the creation of sub-circuit, period. And Howard Brookins in the Senate, along with, and I forget one other senator who was a Republican. I can't think of his name at the moment. But they were the ones who created the sub-circuits. And since the sub-circuits have been created, there have been at least 5 or 6 people elected to judgeships right out of this neighborhood. That lived right, Dorothy Jones, who lived right up the street on Wallace. Dorothy was elected. A young lady that lived on Mason, right down the street here, was elected. And she has retired. Of course, Dorothy died. After she retired, we've had 2 other people. I'm spacing on their names, right out of here, right around here, who were elected, who in all likelihood never would have been elected had not there been sub-circuit opportunities.
What about Judge Maybelline?
Judge Jackson, outstanding judge, who lives on, I think she lives on Menard. Still does. She's retired, not. So yeah, and then we had Judge Clay right across the way down here, and there was no park. So yeah, never would have been elected in all likelihood had there not been the creation of sub-circuit. Next time I'll have all their names because they were all right around in the area.
That's what's up.
So again, that will be hosted by the Coalition Social Political Group, and that again will be May 10th, 11th, and 12th in the evening. So we're about to conclude tonight, y'all. Anybody out there have anything they have questions or comments about at this time? Please do so.
I have a comment.
Sure. Go ahead, Ellen. Go ahead, Ellen.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit. But after hearing, I'm a little sad to hear that we have so many Black people in public office holding these big-time positions, and they don't make themselves known in our community. It's like they're hiding, or maybe that they're just
all these black people? Nothing. And, you know, it kind of like saddens me that they're not as visible in our community as they would be. You know, maybe they feel they done made it. I don't know what the reason is, but I feel they should make themselves better known in our community and let it be known what they're advocating for. I mean, we got too many black people in these offices, you know, and nothing's being done or nothing's being said. So I'm just a little sad to hear that.
I second your sadness, and one of the things that always gets me is I always feel like it's a lack of coordinated effort. Like, to have so many in so many places, I almost feel like a lot of them don't interact the way they should, so that we could get the proper service that we need. And I can't speak to that, you know, but I see a lot of disjointedness. And then we talk about the community level, how there's a lot of disjointedness. And I'm like, well, if the leaders that are in place are disjointed, what do you think the people gonna be? You know, man.
Lack of unity.
Oh, okay. The congressman said it is a lack of unity. So, I mean,
but unity starts with one relationship at a time. That's all I can tell you. You gotta figure that in and figure that out. One relationship at a time. So is there anyone else? Barry, time exchanges and story of Peacebrook. Raise the hand. Go ahead, Barry.
Say it again, Steve.
Go ahead. You raise your hand. You wanted to see, you had a comment before we conclude?
Yeah. Edie? Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. I got you. I'm a muter. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I think Edie raises an excellent about getting the word out about what everybody's doing. And I think Mary Gardner said earlier that she was talking about getting into the specifics. Seems to me that we need to develop the communication infrastructure that will kind of like a telephone system that we have in the 40 block area and in other communities, so that the word can get out easily. Because right now, the larger community just needs to be more involved. And that's what Peacebrook is about, and that's what Time Exchange is about, is building that infrastructure so that we've got a system that we're reaching out into the community, from the leadership to the activists, all the way down to the block leaders, and then from them to the residents.
That's why it's important to reach those block leaders. I'm telling you, the block leaders, they're the ones that hold the bell, man. You know, they're the ones that's ringing the bell on the block. So if we can reach those block leaders, believe me, they are the force. I mean, if you have 28 to 40 to 36 homes on a block, come on, you need one leader just to be effective and have a relationship with at least half of those people.
You know, one of the most basic things that we talked about when building our 40 blocks. Can we get a once a month meeting, guys? Damn it, man. I mean, we ain't got to meet when it's rain, but look, now we got Zoom technology.
Right.
Everybody on the block can meet one time a month. They could have these discussions. Hey, you know, Judge coming up. Listen, these the guys that I think was the good people. You know, you got anybody we could debate on it? Boom, boom, boom. Now we got our slate. Same thing with every other elected position. Hell, we could have people from the offices come and visit us. We can figure it out. But I'm just saying that is the importance of having that one solid leadership person that can organize something like that. A once a month meeting will get so much more accomplished in the community than that has been done in the last 40 years, man. but we got to get there first. We got to show people that works, and we got to get it done.
We appreciate the leaders that show up on Welcome to Northwest Austin Council, this show, but we need those others to start developing their leadership towards getting those once a month for their block. And even if it means that we have to do it, I don't mind, going over the leaders. If the leaders allow us, we'll reach out to those people on the block ourselves. But hey, leadership's got to do something. Like what you say, Karen. What good are you as a leader if ain't nobody following? Yeah, but your shadow. So again, I think I'm gonna be making a lot of personal calls to those 24, or I think it's more than 24. I always say 28 leaders, and getting them to understand they got to start becoming more committed to their block. If they don't want to be committed to Northwest Austin Council as a whole, as we try to secure the 40 blocks, at least be committed to your block. And we just want to know what you're doing. That's it.
Yeah.
So, and I want to add one more thing, and that is to thank you, Steve, DeAndre, and the congressman for building up this Sunday evening conversation, because it seems to me that that's part of the infrastructure that we need to be expanding.
Yeah, we will, Barry.
No, we are though. No, it is. It is expanding.
We may even. What do you mean the show?
No, the show is expanding, but
the show is expanding. But we might take on another day.
Yeah, some or just start becoming more intentional about marketing it.
Right.
You start seeing Welcome to Northwest Austin Council stickers all over poles with a QR code. You know who did it. Straight up.
So yeah, we're gonna reach out. We still got that segment, like we always been saying. We want to reach everyone. That's why we thought Sunday evenings was the best time. Right after church, millennials.
And y'all eating, y'all folding clothes. You ain't doing nothing right now, but getting ready for Monday.
This a millennial day here because they partied on Friday and on Saturday. So Sunday is the day they got off.
I was just telling my boys, man, I need y'all back on, man. I need y'all voices again. I wish they was here for the first part of the conversation, but we're going to try to get them on, man, because they need to be able to drop some bars. They got to talk about some of these things, man. I can't be the only one.
Right.
Who else?
All right. You got anything, Congressman, in conclusion?
Other than to say that this is probably as interesting as the Bulls and the Bucks.
Yeah, tell me about it, man. Man, they finna whoop us up, man.
For me, I just want to bring up again and reiterate, this is the 50th year of the Northwest Austin Council. It was created back in 1972 with a group of people just right here in the Northwest area of Austin. And we will be having our 50th year anniversary banquet coming up. I think what do we say, September? So we're going to start pushing out tickets and what have you, so we can get things going and get people in line. And we may even have a congressman come and speak.
Why don't you have a 3 or 4 day thing?
We could. We could. We should.
50 years, that's a long time.
That's a long time.
That may be worth 3 or 4
days. Want to go through the list?
Yeah, I was saying anybody else want
to... Tiny, you got anything you want to add before we conclude?
Well, I just agree with Barry. I think you guys are doing a great job. Keep up the good work.
All right.
Thank you.
Who else do we have on the Zoom that we can reach out to in our Zoom audience? Barry, who spoke. Ella, Alan Evans. Who is Kate? Kate, would you like to say something? Kate, are you there? How about Mr. Johnny Harris, Reverend Johnny Harris? I think do you have anything you'd like to add to the conclusion of the show? Go ahead. Unmute. There you go, Rick.
Yeah, how you doing?
All right.
Yeah, I was invited by Brother Ed James.
Absolutely, that's my guy.
I just, I enjoyed everything I heard. I'm like the fellow that came in with the commander. I'll be interested to find out what is the next step in terms of strategy moving toward implementing some activities and stuff like that, so we can kind of address some of these issues. Because one thing I appreciate, you did say that throughout the city of Chicago, we all are experiencing some of the same kind of issues. And I appreciate the congressman. He's always on the spot. He's Johnny on the spot, I tell you. And he's doing a great work. And I just thank and praise God for him that he takes time out, even in his personal time, like on today and what have you. But even him, he understands the significance of resurrection. So that's why he's online today. So I'm just waiting for the next move.
All right. Yeah, keep tuning in with us. Thank you for coming.
Well,
keep tuning in.
Reverend Johnny Harris works with young people.
Mm-hmm.
I know him well. Down on the other end of the West Side, Major Adams Boys Club.
Mm-hmm.
Major Adams was as much of a pioneer down there
Henry Horner
as Leola Span was here.
Yes.
Matter of fact, Major Adams was the man
who
probably has produced more outstanding male social workers on the west side of Chicago than any single individual that I know anything about. Major was, I think, like in his 90s when he died. And
about 92.
92. Garmin Bugle Corps, really training African American males to be social workers. He was a mentor for Hatch Adams and a mentor for any number of other people from down on the east end of the West Side. So Reverend Harris, it's just good to hear you, and I'm delighted that you were with us this evening.
Absolutely. So that was all.
Go ahead. It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. We also volunteer with Exodus Drum and Bugle Corps at Ed James and Jerome Altman there
Jerome.
at 816 North Leckerville. You know, sometimes you get a chance to come by and see us. We have a lot of mic nights on Friday night where young people, parents can come and voice their issues, display their talent, and the mic night is just hooked to get them there so we can really talk about what the issues are they face and what they're concerned about.
Yeah, that'll be great. You know, he's just around the corner from us. He's right here in the neighborhood, Mr. James.
Absolutely.
So, hey, Congressman, when we gonna reach out to Dr. Wilson, Willie Wilson?
You know, I did see Dr. Wilson on Saturday morning. We were at a ministers meeting in Burr Ridge, and there were about 200 ministers there, and some of them weren't ministers but brothers. And I'll be talking to him probably tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so I will.
You can come out remotely, or you can come down the street.
Come on through.
I will talk to him this week.
All right.
All right, DeAndre, you got
to give me 10,000.
Man, but if he want to though, he can bless it. He can be a blessing. He can be a blessing.
He was just invited to come speak to the group, and he says, "Well, I don't want to let y'all listen to me for nothing." He says, "I'm going to just give y'all 10,000." I said, "Doc,
man,
I'm over here, brother."
You hear me, man? Listen, y'all. Hey, we appreciate y'all greatly for tuning in. We do this every Sunday from 6 to 8. Listen, we got various ways that you can interact with the show. We got the Facebook, the YouTube, and the Zoom. If you're on the Facebook or the YouTube, make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share. Hey, especially comment, because we can see it directly inside the show and we can bring you right in something similar to something like this. You know what I mean? And we appreciate your feedback because you are a part of the show. This is a conversation that we need to have because as we start to have these conversations, solutions are the outcome. That being said, man, I just want to say, listen, relationships. That's it. I think that was the biggest thing that came from everything today. Is it's all about relationships with the process, relationships with the people, relationships with the outcomes. You know, and as we really start to build solid relationships, we will move forward.
Like
we keep being siloed.
Did you bring up that we went out this week? We hit them doors on Austin last week.
Oh yeah, with the officers. Yeah, we did. We got a lot more of that coming up too.
Yeah.
So, But yeah, man, there's solution in relationships. The more people that we can get to be a part of these things, the more action oriented we can be, and the more we can get accomplished. With that being said, man, listen, we got a whole bunch of seats available at the table. All we doing is welcome y'all home. Thank y'all for allowing us to welcome you to Northwest Austin Council. Have a good Resurrection
All right.
holiday.
Have a great Easter, all. We appreciate your time.